think we're good to go now. I have to hear myself. So what we're doing today is we're doing a Hexagroove live stream. We've done a couple of these over the past couple of months. We've been to lots of shows, but today what we're focusing on is our new expansion, which is going to drop this week on Thursday. It's called our European Festival expansion. It's bringing the best version of Hexagroove that we have out to Nintendo Switch and Steam, where some of you may be watching me this evening, and I can't wait to show it to you. There might be some new time Hexagroovers out here as well, so I'll take you through the basics and show you what the game is all about. I'm flying this solo today, so I got one eye over here on the chat window from time to time. If you guys have any questions, just drop them. I'm looking at both the YouTube and the Steam chat. I can see my own posts, so if you guys have any questions about the game, if you have any feedback, if something I'm saying doesn't make any sense, just let me know. Drop me a message in there, and I will do my best to handle it. So, what are we doing today? Let's see. We got Hexagroove, we got a mic set up, we got the game going. I'm assuming you guys can hear me all right. Last time we were doing this, the game audio was a little bit low. So what we're going to do today is have that a little bit higher. Hopefully everything sounds fantastic. And so you can hear this fantastic game that is amazing. We have some really great artists that I'm happy to show you this afternoon. So what we'll do today is we'll start right out with how to play the game. Maybe this is the first time you've seen the game, you've been curious, and I will walk you through the basic mechanics. And for those of you that have been playing the game already, thank you very much. I will give you some tips on how to get an S rank and how to maximize your score, because Hexagroove has a tertiary system, a 3-level system of game scoring, and I'll tell you about that. So what we're going to do today is we're playing in Steam. I'm using a Pro controller. I have an Xbox One controller here too, so I can simulate multiplayer for you guys later. But we're going to go with this. It works fantastic. I like it personally because I think the buttons clack a little bit less than some of the others, which is great for streaming. So let's start out with something simple here. Hexagroove has 2 difficulty levels. The difference between them is a number of buffs and nerfs that come in terms of the way your health decreases, how agitated the fans become, your performance, and also the complexity of the mini games that are thrown at you, the rhythm mini games that you play during the song. So we'll start with easy. And this is the world of Hexagroove. Hexagroove has these now fabulous clubs that you can go through. You start out at a house party. There's a little bit of a backing story behind this. Imagine that you are a DJ, or you've wanted to be a DJ, and you're at a friend's party on the weekend, and the real DJ called in sick. And it's up to you now to cover music. So you start out at the house, and that goes well. Then you start working your way up through clubs of preceding the grand setup. Till you end up at a huge European festival, which is the crux of our European festival expansion here. But just for kicks, even beyond that, we've now added a master level where you have an 8th club. Let's see if we can jump on over to it. What we got? Yeah, there's the European festival. We got a level on the moon. How about that? If you're dream DJing at the moon, we got you covered there. So that's the final level. We'll be getting to that a little bit later. It's made by a fantastic Swiss producer called Big Skopinski. But for now, let's start out with something slow. So I will take you into the interface real quick. Hexagroove has a novel basic interface. If we go into practice mode here. Yes. When you first go into the game, there's some light onboarding to explain the basic concepts and what you do in the game. What we have is this thing called a loop launcher. And what it does is it takes 32 musical loops and breaks them up into 8 different instruments. So Hexagroove is a game where your goal is to combine pieces of music, not whole songs even, but like what we call stems in the industry. Maybe just a drum or a bass or chords or a melody, and then combine these in an artful manner. And here the artful manner revolves largely around timing, but when you move later into the game, there's also a bit of strategic element to it. We hide that complexity initially because there's lots of new things going on here, but ultimately what you want to do is you want to combine these musical loops, pieces of music that loop over and over again, in real time, in a club. And what you're doing is building a song, actually, and how well you build that song is how well you do in the game. So let's see here. We have these 8 loops. They're gray when they're not playing. They're blue when they are playing. And then they change color later when you're inside the game, depending on how the audience feels about these loops. So if I take the analog stick to the top, 12 o'clock, that's called the kick drum, right? So I can put this on here. And when I hit one of the ABXY buttons, a drum loop starts playing. And I can take that drum loop and then add a bass to it if I wanted to have a drum and bass combination. And the tutorial is going to just push me into the game right now, but that's okay. I'll just show it to you for real. I've got a bit of a custom setup today. This is not my normal score. Okay, so we're at the party now. This drum loop is playing, and the audience is standing in the background here, and they are asking for bass, which is this instrument at 3 o'clock. So we'll add that in. Now we have a bass loop and a drum loop playing together. And next they're asking for a melody. So let's give them this thing, which we call lead 2. It's the second melody. And we're going to add it at a 4th quarter. Yeah. Now this bass loop has turned colors now, which means the audience is kind of getting irritated with it. They want something new. And this is the beginning of the 6 rules of music making. And that one is called fresh, which I'll explain more in a minute. So if you combine the loops in a manner that keeps the audience happy, then you move on to a checkpoint. And here we are inside of this place where we're going to choose which loops will play the next time that we come back to the middle of the game. We move on with the R button. And then we play this tapping minigame where we're working on hitting drum elements in the lead up to the second song section. Because each level in Hexagroove is a full song that's broken up into sections, and the different sections have different importance in terms of the overall flow of energy throughout the song. So right now we're in a build right now. We have more instruments than the first one. So the number of instruments you have changes depending on the song section as that section fills its role in the dance song. Now I'm going to choose, what will I want in the 3rd section? I think we'll go with the melody here. And then once we have that, we will push R button to move in again. Now I'm tapping the left and right buttons on the controller to hit those rhythm elements. And when I add these loops, I am looking at different things. One thing is what we call flow, which is where in a 4 musical bar phase we are, because adding them at the beginning of those 4 bars will give us the most smooth feeling the way the song is progressing. So that was the second kind of minigame that we have, and I'll talk more about the minigames in a minute. It was an audio effect. I will explain more next time we get around to it. So another thing is that my version of Hexagroove now, everything is unlocked. So you're given lots of different instruments here. We have 5 in the section, including a one-shot. When you start out for the first time in Hexagroove, you only have 4 instruments that you can work with total. And the key there is that we want to slowly introduce you to more instruments, because it's kind of like spinning plates. If you have all the instruments, up to 8 of them, then you think about it like you have the drum you have to worry about, and the melody you have to worry about, and then the chords and things like that. So all of these will change over time as the audience gets individually pleased or kind of bored with them, and you have to respond to them. A lot of those together can get really overwhelming, especially when you're playing a really fast song. So we start out with just a couple, and then you unlock more instruments as you move along. So if you've tried the demo, you've probably only had 4 instruments to work with. When you come into the game, for real, Then you start out with that 4, but then you get B ranks. You do well in the levels, you clear the levels, and then you unlock more instruments. And it's not just instruments, there's a bunch of other stuff too that you unlock that I will take you through in a bit. So, this is a good pause. The game automatically paused for me to explain that to you. What we're doing now is we're finishing the level, and we have a finisher. So we got 2 choices in this finisher. We can either go to the left in the road, which is where we have a rise in energy. There's going to be a more intense drum roll going. There's going to be more energy and instruments coming in. And in which case, while we're driving along and steering with the analog stick, we also have to push the button rhythmically. The other is that on the right-hand side, we have something we call fade out, which is where the energy comes down. We have a lower energy backing track there, and then the tapping that you do is improvisational. It's optional. So whenever we drive over the markers, then we push one of the A, B, X, Y buttons, and each one is mapped to a different musical loop, maybe a different pitch, or it's a different call out or sound effect or something. So that's where us as the artist has the freedom to choose what kind of mood and what we feel works best with the song. So let's try this out. Well, let's go with a fade out now as we're just getting started. So now when we are tracing out the path, we drive over and we push the buttons while we drive over the markers, and they will play different sound effects. And at the end of the level, if we've made it through without losing all of our health, which I'll explain in a second, then we get a rank, we get a grade. And now this, we have the 6 rules of music making, and if we follow all of them, then we get 10s, and all 10s equals perfect score, and we get an S rank. You don't have to get all 10s to get an S. You can have like a couple 8s in there, but if the average is over 90%, then you get an S rank, and that gives you the most points towards unlocking new stuff and progressing in the game. We also have something in the bottom which is style points, which I'll talk next time we clear a level, and that's the ultimate level of scoring in Hexagroove. It's the biggest thing that you can do. So we've cleared a level, and normally what you do now is you move on, and what we have now is campaign mode. And in campaign mode, you go progressively through all 15 of the stages, and you get new genres and new clubs every time you unlock, or you clear all of the levels in one club. In that sense, it's a little bit like a Guitar Hero or an Oendan type of thing. And when you get to a new club, you can choose which genre you want to start with, but you have to have all of them cleared before you can move on. So we've done our first gig. We've played at a house party, and we've done it with some success. So we've been invited now to a real gig, and we are going to be playing in this basement club, which is actually modeled after a club here in Stockholm, where we developed the game. There's a club down the street called H62, and I play there in pre-COVID times. I played there doing a monthly party where we had chiptune and game music and things like that. So I would DJ, I would do some techno live sets and things like that. And this club is kind of like a homage to that. It's a little hole in the wall. So we have 2 genres we can pick from now. We've got IDM and we've got Techno. Techno is really, really cool. This is made by a colleague of mine, Yuji Takanuchi, also known as Mr. YT, and he's been making music for a very long time, making fantastic club music in addition to game music. He's made lots of music for some of the Metal Gear Solid series and the Dark Souls series, and he's also really, really cool with techno, and him and 2 of his colleagues produced this techno level. So let's try this out. This time we're playing our second level, and we'll talk a bit more about the mechanics so you guys can get a feel for how that works. So when you start a level, one instrument is always playing because you want to feel something, whether it's a beat or a melody or something like that. But after that, it's up to you. And when you introduce these instruments, is called flow, which is the score, or the grading criteria for what bar you add the music on. We synchronize all of the starts of the loops so that you don't have to worry about being out of the beat at this part of the game. It will always sound nice, but it sounds best in terms of the way the melody progresses if you add them on, you cue them up on the 4th bar so they launch on the 1st bar. So this is one of the 2 minigames. This is an audio effect. So I'm tracing the path here with the analog stick, and what it does is it applies a filter to the sound. So when you're on the path, the filter is applied and the frequencies are changing and it sounds kind of cool, and it brings emphasis to what's going on, in this case with the melody. So this is one of the tricks, one of the techniques that DJs use in the club when they're working with music. So we've cleared the 2nd checkpoint, and now we're going to add some more. I think the next one is a tapping minigame. So we've chosen we want to start with a melody in the next section. And now we're going to move into the tapping game. So we're going to play left, push left, and the A button here. Nice. And when you clear a minigame, you get a rank. The same ranking we use in the end of the game, which is CBAS. And if you do better on a minigame, then you get more health back. So it's important that you clear those, not just from a musical sense, but also in terms of keeping you alive. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you can see my health, and it's always decreasing. This simulates how the audience feels about what I'm doing. So the audience is always getting fatigued by the music because people get tired the more they dance, and they also get bored listening to the same thing over and over again. So that decreases over time. We're simulating both the physical and the intellectual energy of the crowd. And adding these pieces of music is something new and fresh, and it keeps them engaged, and it gives you a little boost back too, as you've seen. So you go through the stages, putting in musical instruments, and creating this song. And which ones you choose are up to you. Right now you can see I've got these 4 icons around each of the instruments. That's one of the advanced systems. That's the loop attribute system. Later, when you play the hard difficulty levels, those are important because they control buffs and nerfs to how the health decreases, how the audience feels about your music, what's going to happen with euphoria, which is this purple energy you see flowing into the center of the screen. And this euphoria is what drives you forward. So if you think about the main part of Hexagroove as like a driving game, like Outrun, and you have 4 checkpoints or so you need to get through on the way to the end of the level. Euphoria is like the progress. It's like staying on the road musically and giving you gas. So when you have this purple energy flowing out into the center of the screen, then that means the audience is enjoying the music you're making. Different loops make different amounts of euphoria. Melodic ones give you more, but they also get stale faster, like the audience requests a change. Drum beats will last longer. So these principles that are very similar to how us as audience perceive music is worked into the way the game simulates the crowd. So these are the same things if you were a producer, if you were a musician, you'd have to pay attention to, because on one hand, changing things sometimes helps keep things going smooth and have a good flow. But changing things all the time randomizes people, and then they can't dance. It's really hard to dance to music if the DJ is changing the beat constantly. So you change the loops at a good time. One of those things about a good time is when you're in the upper left-hand quadrant of the UI, when that big green light is flashing outside the largest circle, that's flow. Another thing is changing when the loops become green themselves. That's freshness. That's how if an audience is fatigued with a certain loop. And if you change these on a good timing like that, then you get more euphoria. It drives you faster to the checkpoint, and you'll probably get there before you run out of health, which is the red bar that keeps decreasing. So your goal is to make sure that you have all the way through the level before you run out of health. That's level 1 of scoring in Hexagroove. If you can do that, you clear the stage. That's the bare minimum. And then the second level of scoring is these 6 rules of music making I'm talking about. So I'll pull up the help menu here with the L button. If you ever wanted to refer to them when you were looking at a particular score you got in the results screen, you can do it right here. And what we have is these 6 rules. Flow is the one I said, where this green light is in the upper left-hand corner. That will keep the music going by connecting everything progression-wise melodically. The second is freshness, and that's changing the loop when it's not too soon. So it's not randomizing people too much, but you're not leaving the same thing playing the whole night, because that bores people too. So right when it's green is the best. If it's blue, you leave it alone. If it's gray, then it's not playing yet, so you can start it whenever you want. Rhythm, of course, is how well you can keep time, and we grade this in the one-shot instrument, but also in the rhythm minigame, which I've showed you a couple times now. Control is how well you use the sound effects. So this is fairly straightforward. You stay on the path when you're in the mini games, and you use the analog stick to trace it around, and that plays a sound effect. You fall off the path, and then you lose some of the music and the sound, and you'll lose some health as well as too. Drama is something that we'll talk about next time in the next song, and then one shot is the final thing, which you don't have initially, but you unlock. It's a way that you can improvise even more at any time during the section with a kind of soundboard, which I'll show you. So you follow those rules, and that's how we calculate your rank. You get an S rank, and then you're at the maximum. You've cleared everything, you're nailing it. And then we also then look at your style points, which is the number here at the bottom. I got 1305 this time. And these style points are what leads to your DJ title. And that is like the ultimate bragging rights in Hexagroove, is having the most style points. So I don't think it's bounded. I'll see, let's see how many you guys can rack up. I'm looking forward to see future DJs nailing that. That highest title that you have is Hexamaster Supreme. That's actually tied to an achievement, which we can go out and look at after this. So DJ tricks give you style points. Combos give you style points. I will talk about that again in a second. But you have these style points, you add them all up, and you move through the game and increase your notoriety as a DJ. So let's go back out the main menu. And here you can see we've got more modes than just campaign. We've got a multiplayer mode, co-op called Entourage. And we've got a mode where you can just practice, and make music endlessly, which is called Freestyle. And we'll look at that in a bit too. If you want to go through the rules of stuff in Hexagroove and get details about that, we've got this menu in here that breaks up the whole thing and takes you through some of the stuff you saw in tutorial, and also some other things about how to pull off individual tricks and things like that, so you can check that out. But now we're going to go to My Hexagroove menu, and My Hexagroove is where we have lots of information about how you play. And this is a new feature, actually, coming up in our European Festival expansion. We just finished this about a month or so ago. It's called the Badges section. It's called Badges here, but it ties directly to achievements, which you have on both Xbox and Steam. On Switch, because there's no native achievement system, then we just have the badges in-game, and that way it works like ARMS or something like that. So we've got 30 different achievements that have different things. You unlock them by doing some things which are hard, some things which are silly, and we will try to do a couple of them later. I already have 30. I already have about 13 of them right now, I think. And then in the stats menu, this is where we have a summary of how you're doing. So right now I have a title. My title is Office Party DJ. And that is built on how many style points cumulatively I have. So the highest style points that you have from each level are all added together. If you get, I think it's 60,000 Hexamaster Supreme, that's the highest. And then here you also have information about what you do with instruments and what your favorite venue is and stuff like that. And then in the Records tab, you can come in here and see how many points you've gotten on each level and each difficulty of all 15 in the 3 difficulties. So let's go back. Do another campaign. So the music in Hexagroove was made by a team of really fantastic artists from all around the world, some of which I've worked with before, some of which I met for the first time. We have artists from Japan, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and Sweden. It's a great mix of people that have produced 15 different genres that, to me represent kind of like the evolution of dance music over the last 40 years. We start out with house, which was the first genre that we played in that house. And we work our way through them, not necessarily chronologically, but in a way that kind of tracks how the music changed over time. We have more recent things like synthwave and liquid drum and bass, and then we have classics like trance and minimal techno and things like that. So let's see here. My controller batteries might be going dead. Might have to switch controllers partway through. All right, so let's try synthwave now. This is in a club called Milk in the game, which is a homage to a famous British club, Cream, where a lot of trance and house artists have played for the past several decades. But today we're playing synthwave here, and this is done by a Swedish vaporwave artist called Runners Club 95. So we're going to give the audience what they want. And now I have all the loops running, so they're all blue. Now when you have all the loops blue, there's nothing you can really do with the music, because if you change it, it'll be too soon. The audience is liking what you have. So at those points in time, when there's no moves left on the board, a beach ball comes out, and the audience starts juggling it around. But it's your job to juggle that beach ball to the beat. But as soon as a move shows up again, something becomes green, it disappears. So that's kind of like a rhythm minigame that you have to keep track of one more thing, keeping your eye on the audience while you're working on your music. That's kind of the performance aspect. Because music doesn't always have to change. There's lots of times when the music just has to flow. Just get into it. I could really get into this. It's always on the backbeat. And I feel like looking at it is usually when I drop it, so I just kind of listen to it. And if you can just listen to the backbeat and push it on the 2 and the 4. Oh boy, goodness. Everything just got ready at once. All of a sudden they decided they wanted something completely different. With another audio effect now. Oh, we got a phaser this time. Different kind of audio effect. Ah, epic sax. And there's actually an achievement for playing the epic sax. I think you have to do it 30 times. So internally we count up every time you launch that loop, and once you hit 30, then you get an achievement. I'm not gonna endure you to have to listen to that this night. But yeah, the sax is legendary. It's made by apparently the greatest street sax artist in all of Stockholm. So this time, I moved my fingers quick and I got 2 instruments in at the same time. So you might have seen... Oops. Wrong one, sorry. That's what happens when you change it when they're blue. The audience gets irritated. They were enjoying that. So if you take 2 instruments at once, and you turn them off or on. You notice now in the upper right hand corner there's this little message that's popping out that says quick fingers. Now I gotta focus. So these are the DJ tricks of Hexagroove. There's 9 in total, and the way the tricks work is it's like a skateboarding game. So this is another part where Hexagroove exhibits its genre mashup. There was a game that I used to play earlier. It was called Top Skater. It had like a motion base, and it's like Tony Hawk, like any of those games. You have it, and you do like an ollie, or you do like a kickflip and things like that. And depending on how hard a trick it was, you get more points for it. So in Hexagroove, we have 9 different DJ tricks, which involve how you turn music off and on in an artful manner, just like a DJ would in the club, to build up the energy. So if you do a DJ trick, then you get style points. So you try to pack as many, if you're style point hunting, if you're trying to increase that DJ rank, then you go after as many style points as you can in the level, and you add those in together with the combos, the selections that you make between the song sections, and that gives you the style points. And then the style points add up, you get a higher DJ title, and then your bragging rights increase. So if you can keep yourself getting through the stage without dying, it's level 1 of Hexagroove in terms of scoring. Then if you can follow the 10 rules of music making, you can get an S, and that's level 2 of grading in Hexagroove. And level 3 is, while you're doing those 2 things, you're also throwing in as many tricks as you can. So now you're being challenged both strategically and from like an action standpoint at the same time. And that is the ultimate level of scoring in Hexagroove. So when you're doing the harder difficulty stages, sometimes doing all 3 of those is not so simple anymore, and you have to kind of break the rules, so to speak, in certain circumstances, either to stay alive or to achieve an achievement or your goal or whatever it is. So juggling those 3 levels of scoring is, for me, one of the most exciting parts of playing Hexagroove as a game, is keeping an eye on the health, and then thinking about how many times I've launched the loops properly, giving myself a couple cheats where I intentionally break the rules to get euphoria faster, so I can speed through the level before I lose health, and then throwing in tricks while I'm at it. So we have been through 3 or 4 of the levels now. We've talked about S rank and DJ tricks. I can show you some more of those. Pay attention for those messages sliding out as we go on. There's 2 rules left I haven't talked about. We'll talk about those in the next one. So let's do that. This time let's go to the hangar. Let's see. We want to talk about drama, and we want to talk about one shot. So while we're here, why don't we play the Deep House level? Because the Deep House level is one of the 2 new genres that we've added to the European Festival expansion, this free expansion that's coming out this Thursday on Switch and Steam. And this is made by a Stockholm producer called Twiddle, who has been doing house and techno for a very long time. And he's also was one of the creative director of Propellerhead, which makes audio software for a long time as well, in charge of their outward-facing efforts and things like that. So really happy to work with him. Let's go in here and check out this, and let's see, we'll jump right in. So we're talking about drama and one shot. So one shot only shows up at certain sections, because it's really when you want to build the energy high. You'll see it in the chorus sections, sometimes in a build, but usually it pops up near the end of a level. Got everything blue, the audience is happy, juggle this ball around. And now we're at the change point. So what we want to do is we want to add loops that the audience will appreciate as a transition between the levels. You see down here we've got the chords 1 highlighted, so we'll add that. And then also the sliders in the upper left-hand corner were very high. And those slider positions kind of give a tip as to what kind of drama score you're going to get for this particular action. When they're high, you're doing fantastic. Don't add any more loops if they're high. If they're lower, that means you've probably added too much stuff, or maybe you've added something which is a bit wobbly in terms of too much rhythm and not enough melody or something like that, depending on the genre. But the general rule of thumb is, if you add one melodic instrument and solo it during a transition to another song section, that moves really smoothly, and the audience digs that, so you always get a good genre score that way. So we added one melodic instrument there, the sliders are high, we're set, so now we're just going to move on. The time you would not want to do that is if you were having difficulty clearing a level, like health-wise, because when we come out of that, you're going to have Euphoria going, right? We see you have Euphoria from one instrument. But if I added more instruments, I would have had more Euphoria flowing right from the get-go, and that would be one extra full loop rotation of Euphoria, which would help me get to the next checkpoint. However, adding too much stuff changes the song quite a bit, and too much change all of a sudden really kind of distracts the audience from enjoying the groove they had going on, which is why we keep it small. We just do a bit at a time. One of the basic guidelines of music here is that just a little bit of change every 4 bars or so is a good way to keep things fresh, but also not make it too crazy. This time everything is melodic, so we can add any one of these, and we'll be fine. There's another DJ trick, quick fingers, added 2 instruments there. I would not go for 3. It's possible on some of the slower tempos, but if you have 3 instruments at once, usually it's a bit too much because the change in the music is too jarring, and then you'll see the audience react negatively. You'll get a red warning message pop up and you'll lose some health. So 2 things at a time is kind of the maximum of what you want to focus on. An acid lead now. Be a 3 of 3. So we're in this big warehouse club, and as a little point of trivia, this was the first level that we did fully in Hexagroove. We wanted to prove that we could fit all of the lights and everything in here. Actually, I'm going to stop this 1 second. Stop. Okay. So up here we have the one shot. So this is this lightning bolt, and it shows up, like I said, in the highest energy levels. And this one is not synchronized, so you have to have a good sense of the beat when you push it. If you get it on the beat, you get this nice hit message come out, and it's helping your one-shot score. Every time you change it and you don't get one of those, it's actually off the beat, and it's going to negatively affect your one-shot score. So the thing about one-shot is you should use it when you have a good sense of the beat, and you should only use it a little bit. Use it in moderation, because if you use it too much, it really starts to annoy the crowd, because then you're just like, burr, 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 like wailing on something, and it's distracting from the music. So if your one shot is used in moderation and it's on the beat, then you get a 10 in that. If you add good transition loops, just one melodic one is the safe bet. There's other ways to get a high score with that, but the one melodic loop going in transition before minigame is the safe bet. Then you get 10 on that, and that's our 6 rules of music making. So initially, you don't have the one shot; you just are concerned with the first 5. These are the way you get an S rank, which is the second level of scoring in Hexagroove. It's not required to beat the stage, but if you're a completionist and you want to fill out that scorecard with nothing but S's, then following these 6 rules is the way to do it. And the great thing about Hexagroove is you don't have to approach the game the same way every time. If you're trying to get style points, you can get by with C's, and that's fine. And just work on your tricks and your combos and barely edge it out. Actually, you want the level to be as long as possible if you're going for style points, because then you can stuff more tricks into the level. The maximum style points and the maximum scores that you get are recorded separately. So one time maybe you're searching for all S's, another time you're searching for style points, and in the beginning you're just trying to get through the set. So those are different things you can focus on at different times. And there's achievements linked to these in terms of getting all the levels cleared and getting more than a certain number of style points and adding up the master DJ title and things like that. So there's a lot of ways to approach this game. And we've really enjoyed working on this game now for the past year, I guess. We're almost coming up on exactly 1 year since we launched in Japan. It was October 2019 when we first launched the game, and we've had so much positive response from our fans, starting out with Switch and then adding in Xbox and Steam later. You guys have been fantastic. We have the best fans. We're so happy to bring you this new European Festival expansion, which drops on Thursday. The European Festival expansion is the third one. So we've had 3 free expansions now over the course of the game, over this first year. We've increased the number of songs from genres, from 10 to 15, doubling or adding 50% more content. In that respect, adding in the achievement system, a new club, and all of these bells and whistles. We've remade a lot of the graphics and made the clubs more fantastical and lively, filling them up with more stuff. So if you've been with us from the beginning, thank you so much, and I hope you are going to have a blast with this new expansion. We're also very fortunate to have won a number of awards. We won the Best Game Audio Award at the Baltic Sea Games. We were chosen for the Bit Summit Gaiden official selection in Japan, in Kyoto this year. That happened online, but it was a fantastic festival. We were so happy to be there and met lots of great people. That coincided with our Sakura Spring release, which we did, which had 2 new Japanese artists, a Sexy Synthesizer who did Chipwave, and Dede Mouse, who did New Garage for us. And we also just got a nomination to Indicate a couple months ago too, and we were nominated for Spotlight in Audio as well as the jury award there as well, and it's amazing. This is the first game our studio has made. I've worked in the industry for a while. I worked in Japan personally, but this company that we've built here in Stockholm, we're very small. We're a 2-person studio, but we have a great team of interns and support people that have helped us build this out. And I'm so honored to bring all this stuff to you guys, and I'm really looking forward to now everyone having access to this European Festival expansion on Thursday. So thank you so much. While we're here, if you guys could continue to support us, that would be great. We are going to keep supporting Hexagroove. We work on new games and Ichigo Ichie, so if you can follow us on all of our channels, that would mean the world, so we can keep you in the loop. Also tell your friends about the game. Please follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook and Instagram. You've seen the names of the accounts cycling through in the video here. And please tell your friends about Hexagroove, because this is a self-published game, and we appreciate every bit of support in getting the word out that we can. So let's take a second here. Yeah, we're doing it on time. Yeah, we got a little bit of time left. So we have multiplayer mode. Let's see if I can get this working with just 2 people, or just myself. So in Hexagroove, we have 2 other modes aside from campaign that you can do. One is Entourage, which is a co-op mode. Up to 4 people can make music together. 2 of those people can be DJs. So that's the role we have up here at the top. And the first DJ is what we call the primary DJ. So that person is in charge of drum rolls and effects. So we could both be DJs. And the way that it works is we split up the interface. There's not 2 of them. There's only 1 song, obviously. There's 8 different instruments, and then I would have to do maybe some of them, like take care of the rhythm, someone else will take care of the melody, but there's nothing in the game that really makes that clear cut. So you have to communicate with your partner and don't step on their toes. If they just started something, it's possible for you to stop it actually before it goes. So, and there's also that limit of no more than 3 things changing at any one time, the too much thing. The music has to be small in its changes. So you need to work together with your partner to make sure that the resulting song is not chaos. The other thing you can do is you can be a super fan. So I'm just going to stub this out with my second controller here. And what a super fan does is a super fan is for someone who's maybe not super confident about the game, or they look at it and they're like, this looks interesting, but I'm afraid I mess it up or something like that. Or maybe it's a player that's just getting started with rhythm gaming. So what this does is it's someone that can give support items. So if you're about to run out of health, the superfan can spin the analog stick around and give you a saving throw. The superfan also has control of a soundboard and can control the confetti cannon and some different visual effects inside the game. And most importantly, if you're a completionist, is you need a superfan to get the achievements. One of the achievements is band-aids. You have to have 2 superfans. I guess technically you could have 3 controllers and set it up yourself. So if you had 2 superfans at once, then you get that band-aids achievement. The other is one called Smokin', which is the final DJ trick. If the superfan launches a confetti cannon at on the downbeat, then you can get that achievement. And you need that achievement, or excuse me, you need that trick to get the achievement of every trick in the book. So I don't think I can pull that off, but I can kind of show you a little bit of how it works here. So let's see. So let's go to do Psytrance. So I'm playing, and I have to kind of pay attention to what I'm doing because I'm the main DJ here. But the superfan, you see there's different UI in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, and they can fire confetti cannons there. But if I get into trouble health-wise, I can try to save myself the second controller. I also got a soundboard here. So I can clap along and make some other neat sounds. Add on to the level, and it increase the energy there. It's a little tough to keep in my mind what I'm supposed to be doing with 2 controllers at the same time. So far I've been playing easy mode, so the rhythm charts have not been that super intense. But once you move into medium, and especially hard, there are some crazy dense rhythm charts that you need to make. And they're all at most 4 bars long. So they come at you when you start that transition out of Q mode. And then you just have to deal with this onslaught of a build of drum beats. Get you to the next section. So as I mentioned, today I'm playing on Steam, but this game is available also on Xbox, if you have an Xbox One, and on Nintendo Switch as well, which is our first platform we launched on, and that's where the expansion that's coming this week. Obviously, Steam is probably the easiest of all 3 to stream, but we have some friends that are helping us with this week. There are a number of streamers and Let's Play folks that are playing both the Switch and Stream versions. We'll be talking about them in the social media starting tomorrow. So please follow us, pay attention to that, and see someone other than me play this game, how other people approach it. We've got some in Japanese and some in English from the States. So for those of you that are watching from Japan right now, I'm sorry. ごめんなさい。今日日本語喋れずに。But we will have a Japanese streamer on later this week. I think Wednesday and Thursday we have some. So then somebody else can walk you through all the stuff we've been talking about in a time zone and a language which is more friendly to you. So this club called Nico Kazoku is based on a Japanese party which I've played at before. It's fantastic. It's called the Sunshine Family, and they have these amazing psytrance events in Japan, out in the woods, in like camp spots and things like that. And the artist which made this music, Cylon, is also one of the premier psytrance artists in Japan. He's just amazing. Like, seeing him play live it'll melt your brain. It's fantastic. And I'm really happy to have him produce music for this stage to recreate just a bit of the feeling that we have at these fantastic Japanese raves. Nice. So we have that multiplayer mode. Can't appreciate it in its full glory right now with just me, but like I said, it supports up to 4 players in couch co-op, so it's a great way for you guys to be able to make some music together at home when you can't make it to the club, and play with people with all different kinds of skill levels. Get grandma involved. Have grandma sit with you on the sofa and DJ and be a super fan. So we have just a few minutes left. We've talked about the expansion. We've talked about the achievement system, the way the grading works. Talked about the platforms. There's 2 things left I want to show you. I don't think we're gonna have time to get to achievements today, but we've seen that we have them here in the badges, and I've done some achievement hunting sessions with the team at Xbox. So if you go to ID at Xbox and go to their YouTube, you can see some of them there. We're also putting out an achievement guide series right now on Steam. I think we've got 2 out so far, and also we've been doing tweets about achievements with some tips on them. Excuse me. So if you follow our social media, you can get more information and guides about that, and also follow us in Steam. Wishlist the game if you haven't already, and you can keep abreast of the news posts we're making about the achievements. So 2 things that I want to show you before we end today. One is the freestyle mode. So I bet we can do this together. So let's do a freestyle level, and we'll do liquid drum and bass. So freestyle is a way for you to have complete control over the music. We've removed the gating that we have in terms of the sections, where you have only limited number of instruments. So all the instruments you've unlocked, up to all 8, you have them all the time in freestyle, so you can make any kind of music you want, and you can't die. So you could, if you want to totally wail or just experiment with things, you can go at it and don't have to worry about restarting. It's a great way to express yourself musically. You know, if you want to turn on the recorder and create a song that way, and then throw it up on YouTube or SoundCloud or something, that would be amazing. It's just a good way to chill and get involved with the music. Another thing is you could practice the minigames, because you have control over when the minigames happen and which ones you use. So let's go to the moon, and we'll play the liquid drum and bass, which is the final level, the ultimate level that we added for this expansion. And what we can do is, because I've cleared it before, is we can duplicate the set here. So this is another thing. I'm throwing another feature. Bombarding you with features right into the stream. So we duplicate the set here. Now what we have is we have these groups of sounds, which we call loop packs. And normally when you start a level for the first time, you have ones that we give to you from the get-go. And you don't have control over which ones are. But once you've cleared a level, then we unlock this thing where you have access to even more. And you can control which ones you want in your set, which ones you will make the music with. So if we go in here, that's nice. So we can go to these other loops that we haven't used yet, and we can bind them to the ABXY buttons, so we can control which instruments we want. Nice. We throw that in there. We've got that on the Y button. So you can do this for all of the 8 instruments. You can build multiple ones of these, have as many kits as you like. So if there's a genre that you're just nuts about, you can go in here and edit these and build all your favorite sets, and then use them to clear campaign levels. Again, on hard difficulty settings, you can also use them for freestyle to make the music really yours. This is a big customization feature that we have in the game. So we come back now, and we will use this custom loop pack. and we'll start playing here on the moon. Which is the final club in Hexagroove, and we added it just for this European Festival expansion. I remember we were sitting on the sofa one night after we had launched, I think, the Sakura Spring expansion. We're like, oh, I wish there was someone at top what we had in the yesterday festival. But what if we had a game in the moon, DJing on the moon? That's what we built here with lots of nerd references and inside jokes. So then when you're in freestyle, the things like freshness and flow and stuff will still apply, but you don't have to follow them if you don't want to. It's just like a guide if you're practicing. And the euphoria meter is always full, but it won't move on to the next section because it's up to you to decide when you want to do that. So when you're ready, you push the R button, and then you go in here, and it's the same as before, where you choose what you want next time. Except this time, when you continue, you have a choice. You can play a drum minigame, you can play the filter effect where you're steering in space, you can do a combo, you can finish a song when you're ready to end, and all of those options are there for you. So you could decide, what it is you want to do. If you just want to practice the drum rolls, you could pick a drum roll every time. And you could practice those. Maybe there's one in campaign you're having trouble with and you need some help clearing. You could just come in here and practice those. I don't have to worry about losing after you've gone, 4 sections through a level or something like that. And just focus on it, because some of these rhythm sections are really, really hard. Alright, so why don't we do this? So this this level is pretty intense. It's the last level. I don't know even. I don't beat it every time that I play it. It's pretty extreme. I think it's 170 BPM. I mean, it's the last level. What do you expect? Of course, it's going to be tough, right? So it's a challenge, and I think I want to end this with a challenge. So even though we're a little bit past time right now, I think I'm going to do one more play, but we're going to do it in campaign now, and maybe we'll pick up an achievement too along the way. Let's try. I don't think I do hard today. It's a bit too early for hard. But let's go after this final level together. The ultimate level of Hexagroove, the final level of our European Festival expansion. Let's just dive right in. This is a long level, it's an intense level. I think we can make it together. As I mentioned, this is made by a Swiss artist called Big Skapinski, and he is phenomenal. He is been producing music for a few years now, and I've been a big fan of his, and I was really, really thrilled that we had an opportunity to work together on this. I may have to break some of those rules of music making this time. So we've got these loop attributes, and I'm going to use like the energy saver one right there. So that's the battery, and what it does is it helps economize the amount of interest health decrease. So it keeps the audience satisfied for a bit longer from an intellectual standpoint. which is important because you see my health is draining really, really fast, and this is just medium. But I want to add these loops on that 4 when the green light is on the upper left-hand corner, because that's the time when I'll get the most euphoria out of them. Thankfully, I'm getting S's on these minigames. Like, wasted a chance to get more euphoria there. Can't pick up the coffee for a second. So if you add those loops on that 4th bar, when the green is upper left-hand corner, that's the time when you're going to get the most euphoria. Because that's when the game flows the best. And euphoria generation is key here because you see how fast it's draining. This is a breakdown. This is the time to catch your breath, because there's 2 sections after this. They're not going to be easy. But there's no beats on this one, so this is giving the audience a chance to relax. You notice they're just kind of chilling there at the bottom too. They're not jumping up and down, because obviously there's nothing to jump up and down to. But they're recuperating their physical health, and so am I, to make it through these last 2 sections of the final level. Now with one shot, it's always a gamble, because if your rhythm is good, then you're fine. You get a little bit of boost, and you can do well with that. But if you're not, and you mess it up, you're gonna take a hit in health as well. Oh, didn't get it that time. There we go. One section to go. I'm gonna cheese it here, I think. I think I'm gonna add lots of stuff. Like the extra euphoria boost coming into the final section. As I mentioned, this set is by Big Skapinski, and I think he's actually going to be playing the game in a couple of weeks. So look out for that. I can't wait to see how he handles his own material. Hopefully, the tuning is. Oh crap! I was getting kind of close. Oh, let's go out with a bang. Why not? Why not? Last song of the night. Oh. Almost fell apart right there at the end, tripped over the finish line. Oh, it was intense. Palms are sweating. All right, guys. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was great having you here with me. Thank you again to all of our fans for all the support you've given us over the past year on all the platforms that we're out on now. We made it because of you, and we're so happy to bring you this European Festival expansion, which will be dropping in less than 72 hours. 72, 84, something like that. Yeah. So great. Enjoy. Please follow us on Twitter, follow our company, follow our game account, follow us on YouTube to check out our live streams. We have a video series there where we break down some of the rules and things like that. So thank you so much. Have a great evening, and I will catch you guys again soon. Cheers. Peace.